God has a word. He always has a word for us, and this is a word that I've heard many times and a word that I've shared many times. It's probably a word that you've heard throughout your life. If you haven't heard it, hear it now. Courage. Courage. God's asking us as we go into 2025 to have courage. It's not the absence of fear, and you and I know that. It's the ability to walk into that fear, through that fear, even with the fear, to keep walking forward in the mission that God has called you and I to. So God had a word for Joshua, and that word is for us. He repeated it several times to Joshua in the book of Deuteronomy. In the beginning of the book of Joshua, after Moses, God's servant, has died, Joshua takes the helm of leadership, which certainly was overwhelming, following Moses' lead. But then God has to speak to him and tells him several times in this moment of an encounter that Joshua was having with the living God, an intent of meeting. Joshua, be strong and courageous. Do not be discouraged. Do not be terrified. Joshua, he tells him again, be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. Right? You will be successful, Joshua. Just like Moses was, you're going to be even more successful. And he tells him the secret to the success of being courageous, of being strong, is by meditating on his word, meditating on his promises, meditating on his faithfulness. In that you will be prosperous and successful, Joshua. You will lead these people to inherit the land that I swore to their forefathers, the land of rest. And then he says, Joshua, haven't I commanded you, be strong and courageous, do not be discouraged, do not be terrified, for I am with you wherever you go. And I know Joshua's story is certainly different than ours, but yet it is same. It is true for each of us. Right? God is calling us to lead others into the promised land, and he's leading us into the promised land. And what is the promised land? For Joshua, it was a specific piece of land. For us, certainly it is a piece of land in heaven, but even bigger than that, it is the person of Jesus, because Jesus said, I am your rest. So I have another word for you, and that word is rest. Rest doesn't mean giving stuff up, right? So as you go into this new year, certainly we have resolutions, we have things we need to slow down with. Resting is about resting in the promises of God, resting in his word. And when we rest in his word, when we're living by faith in Jesus, in that promise that God gave Joshua, I am with you, Joshua, I am with you. Right? Joshua was able to rest in that. 31-1 in battle. You can read all about it in the book of Joshua. Joshua just didn't stop. Joshua actually got up and he moved forward. And God is calling you and me to move forward, to lead others to Jesus. And as we lead others to Jesus with courage and strength, he's calling us to rest in him, in his presence. Christmas happened, Emmanuel, God with us. Is that true? Is God with you? Is God with you? The answer is yes. He's with you. We just need to live in that reality. You need to live in that reality. I need to live in that reality, because when we do that, we're able to keep moving forward. Well rested always, because we're always finding our true rest in the person of Jesus and his promises. And so I don't know what might be discouraging you right now, what might be zapping you of strength, where there's fear in your life. But I pray that you hear the same word that Joshua heard, the same word that Joshua heard over and over in his life, that you and I will continue to hear this in our calling to live out the mission that God has given to us, to light up this world by loving our neighbors, by sacrificing our own needs for the good of others, by worshiping God in our actions of loving. Be strong and courageous, whatever it might be, wherever God is leading you. Be strong and courageous. Do not be dismayed. Do not be discouraged, because God is with you. Do not let his word depart from your mouth. Meditate on it day and night. Don't let it depart from your mind. Right? He's with you. He's with you. He's with you. In this new year, courage, and rest. And when I say rest, I'm talking about resting in the truth that God is with you, resting in his promises, in his personhood. He's with you. That is our God. Live in that presence, just like Joshua did. May we all do this together. May we be strong and courageous.